The HR 4980 has just passed the Senate. We are so excited about it. We hope President Obama signs the bill, because this is a bill that actually provides funding for agencies that have done tremendous evidence-based work on foster care, permanency planning. One of the reasons I wrote the book, Foster Parenting Step by Step, is because these children are so unstable in their placements because foster parents give up. It is extremely difficult to raise someone else's child, and to raise someone else's child who does not want to be there necessarily is even more difficult. So one of the things that the HR 4980 looks at is how to keep permanency planning more effective, how to make it more effective, what are the evidence-based treatments out there, how can we then work towards stabilizing these children long-term. Because if you look at sex trafficking, unless we connect these children with their family, unless we connect them with relatives and increase stable placements within relatives, we are going to have a continuation of sex trafficking as we know it today. So from that angle, it's a huge, huge prevention piece in terms of foster care. And I'm very excited about it, because if you look at foster children, they are 7 times higher risk for substance abuse. They have more PTSD than all the war veterans and all the 3 wars combined. It's double. And that's not to minimize what's happening with the veterans, but it's to share with you how huge the problem in foster care is in terms of PTSD. So I'm very, very excited about this bill, and I'm delighted it's passed. We hope to have religious institutions, number one. We want the churches, the synagogues, the temples, the mosques. We want people from different religions to come in. We want them on the table. We want the airline industry. We want the transportation industry on the table, the railways, because right now there's a huge influx from the Latin American countries on the freight trains where these children are being sold. And so that's a huge area right there. We want the FBI involved, and they're coming in. The Homeland Security Investigations is involved. So we have federal, state, local, social service agencies, transportation industries. The media is very big, because we want to make sure that the media is more sensitized and more sensitive in terms of how they deal with trafficking victims. So we want them to come for the sensitivity training we're doing here. And we want the community at large to be here. So we want everyone, including the clinicians that are coming in for training. We have 21 continuing education units for attorneys as well, who work with immigration and who work with trafficked victims. A regular person needs to be aware of human trafficking, but it could be happening in your own backyard. It could be your neighbor's child. It could be a pimp living 3-4 doors down from your house who's victimizing these children in horrific ways. It could be someone down the street from you who's sitting at a bus stop, alone and defenseless, about to be picked up by a pimp. So we have so many high-risk children, and we all know the problems we have with kids who are lonely, kids who don't feel like they have enough attention, who just want love. And they're looking for love in the wrong places, and someone down the street could be a potential victim. So our role then is, if we know that this person is hurt, this person's sad, this person's crying for help, but does not know how to do so, by knowing this is happening, we could at least prevent another human tragedy. I'm very excited about the conference, because the conference doesn't end for me on the last day. The conference begins on the last day, because the 3 days of the conference are going to be ending with white papers that we will be developing. And in these white papers are the next steps for stopping and ending demand for human trafficking, ending the demand for our children, ending the demand for our youth, ending the demand for our young people, men and women, both. And as a result of these white papers, we then want to implement programs and processes by which we then strategize how we're going to end this demand based on the recommendations from each of those panels. We have panels on foster care, we have 5 panels on foster care, we have panels on ending demand itself, we have panels on prevention, we have panels on best practices in clinical work, we have panels on rehabilitation. So all these different panels will have recommendations. And out of these recommendations, we'll develop white papers. Out of those white papers, we'll then implement them on a quarterly basis at least. and not only nationally, but we're going to be video conferencing around the world. So we have people coming from Nigeria, from Egypt, from China, from different parts of Europe. And in addition, another next step for us is bringing what we call the gift box. The gift box is a phenomenal way of raising awareness. It is used in Great Britain where they first had it. They have it in Australia. They then brought it to New York. New York is the first city in the country to have it. And we're now going to have it in Chicago. So UNICEF is presenting Not My Life, which is a documentary. They're presenting Not My Life on that day. And UNICEF is bringing the gift box to Chicago. And we are asking for sponsors to help us with the conference, but we're also asking for sponsors to help us with the next step.